Hello and welcome back to the Breakfast Club. You're with me, Jessy Chahal, and today with me I have a very special guest, CEO, Executive Director of WWF Malaysia, Dato Dr. Dino. Thank you for being with us today.
Most welcome.
Welcome
Such a pleasure.
to the show. Today we're going to talk about something that affects us all: global warming, climate change, and in the recent few weeks and months we've seen some really life-changing incidents that have happened around the world. What's happening this Saturday is something called the Earth Hour on the 26th of March.
That's right.
At 8:30 p.m. We have a global event that's called the Earth Hour. Now, Dr. Vic, tell us a bit more about that.
Okay, so Earth Hour started in the year 2007 in Sydney, in Australia. And really what it was trying to achieve was to rally a global voice across the planet to tell people, please come on board and support this global campaign that is trying to send a very strong message to governments across the world that the world, the whole planet is in crisis. And if we don't take action, we are all going to bear the consequences of what's going to happen to the planet. So it was about telling people to come together, switch off the lights for 1 hour in a very symbolic fashion, but behind that symbolism of switching off the lights stands a very strong message that we as a species are impacting the planet, and really we need governments to get together and get their act organised to try and save the planet from ourselves, which is really putting all these greenhouse gases into the air and causing the planet to heat up.
Now, this isn't any small problem. This is a problem as large as Earth, as I'd like to think about it. So, what really is the campaign? What will happen this Saturday on the 26th of March globally?
Yeah, so across the planet, all the places where Earth Hour is being celebrated, I mean, I use the word celebration, but really it's a call to action. It is asking the people to say, well, you were with us in the last few years for Earth Hour, and it is not just about the hour, it is now living Earth Hour beyond the hour.
Beyond that.
Earth Hour has to happen every hour.
It's just not one day, it's for the rest of the days that follow. And here we see some images as well. Some of the global landmarks, for example, I know the pyramids and Buckingham Palace and the Eiffel Tower in Paris, in Rome, the Golden Gate Bridge in San Francisco. All of these global landmarks will also take part. And that's a very, very big, powerful message that's being sent across the world, really. Following to that, what is the key message really that WWF is trying to put across? What is it that we're trying? Are we talking about energy efficiency? Are we talking about costs, a better quality of life? What kind of message is it really?
Yeah, so it really is about the unsustainability of our existence. I mean, it's very strange to say, but the fact that sometimes we are not fully aware, we don't quite realize the impact we have on the planet, what we call the footprint. I think this Earth Hour really tries to ask all of us through a very strong and powerful way of uniting across the planet to say, if we are fully aware of what's happening and what we do to the planet, it really is for us to take actions because we can. And so what we're trying to do here in Malaysia is this Saturday to ask the Malaysians to come on board and understand what Earth Hour is all about, but to also come on to what we call as a Live Green pledge, to pledge, because really the changes will come if we all take our own actions individually.
Absolutely. Every single drop in the ocean then forms the larger ocean. So it's everyone's collective effort that's really going to make a change, everyone's voice as a nation, as the global nation, to really speak out. However, some key players in the industry say that, is 1 hour really going to make a difference? So what do you say about that?
That's the million-dollar question, which is why we realized that it has to start somewhere. So the little start somewhere in Sydney was a few years ago. But today we know that it is not just about the hour. It is ensuring that we understand what the message is all about, but living the hour, every hour is going to be important. So I think companies have to ensure that they can work with their staff and look at their own business practices, their procurement policies, their financing, support services, and so on and so forth, and ensure that they minimize at the company level their footprint, or at their staff level the footprint of individual persons. And so these are the sorts of things. The call to action goes beyond the hour. I think we all have to realize that just one action is symbolic, but the daily lifestyles and the daily practices are the things that are going to matter most. It is not just a symbolic act. It is actually the change of coming out of the comfort zone. coming out of the usual behaviors, coming out because we're very sensitive and aware now that there are many things we can do small, but incremental, but also the power in the collection of individual efforts is what will bring to bear on the planet.
Like I said earlier, this is not a small problem, so everyone plays a part to educate and put in effort to ensure that collectively we all can make a difference.
Indeed.
Corporates, big companies, these are the kind of people who also matter. And so many of them have picked up something we call CR, corporate responsibility projects.
Indeed.
How has WWF been involved with that?
So we are actually trying to encourage companies to exercise CSR in a way that also ensures that it is not just about providing resources to little projects to save species, for example, or habitats, or to provide activities, social activities for their staff, but to ensure that that is just one part of it. But corporate responsibility really is all about looking at your own business practice. Because if we look at some of the companies that are multinational and we look at the resources they procure, it is very important for them to realize the footprint. For example, if you look at the emissions of carbon dioxide in the procurement of some of this material, transportation, for example. And if they start to really appreciate and calculate, for example, and there are many footprint calculators on the web, to see really how are we impacting as a company, as a multinational company, and because they've got the resources, they can start to do an audit, an energy audit, for example, a business audit, and start to institute policies and changes that tries to minimize, I use the word try because we all have to start somewhere, tries to minimize the impact that the company brings to bear on the planet. That really is leadership. Leadership where policies still don't exist or laws don't exist. That is what we call dynamic leadership in the corporate sector.
And I hope all the corporates out there will really pick up the pace on these issues. Following that, back to Earth Hour though, it is said that it's normally held on a particular Saturday. So if you could tell us a bit more about this, it's really interesting thing.
It is interesting. It is just basically a time across the planet that coincides with the spring and autumn equinoxes. And it simply means that during this time of the year, sunset happens at the same time across the planet, and so the visual impact of having switched the lights off is dramatic across the planet.
Wow!
So it's just the best time of the year picked to have that visual impact.
So it's 8:30 p.m. all across the world, whichever time zone you're in, and wouldn't that have a cascading effect then as lights go off bit by bit by bit
and I'm sure
on Earth? What a picture that would be.
If you get a view from space.
Absolutely. I think you should put that on the website once it's all done. I remember back in 2009 was when I first sort of came around to hearing about Earth Hour, and a few friends we all got together and switched off all the lights and lit a candle. So what do other people do during Earth Hour? I mean, are there any specific things that have been done over the years?
It all started as almost like an open source campaign, meaning WWF wanted to ensure that a lot of people could just pick on the Earth Hour event and do things on their own. So companies organize events for their staff. I know some hotels and restaurants organize candlelit dinners using the Earth Hour. Couples go away and have their own little dinner, do romantic things. But
great
really,
excuse.
Good excuse. But being an open source campaign, it is the fact that we want more people to take ownership of the Earth Hour event, take ownership of what Earth Hour stands for, and not necessarily be led by WWF. So I think that is what it is all about. So schools, interest groups have been doing a whole range of activities. In fact, last year we realized that many people capitalized on the brand that Earth Hour had created to be hip, to organize something. So we're trying to actually ensure that it is not just being hip, it is not just the hour, it is about looking into your own lifestyle and taking this very strong pledge, a pledge to yourself, like a New Year resolution, to say, well, these are the few things that I'm aware of, these are the few things that I don't necessarily like in terms of what I do and the impact that it brings, but this is my pledge to myself, most importantly. This is what I want to change.
Yes, because it affects all of us, every one of us, past generations, future generations to come, every one of us. And Earth Hour has grown so much in the past few years. If I understand correctly, it's multifold. This year, I think over 4,000 cities in 88 different countries officially going to switch off all their lights to pledge their support for the planet, making this one of the world's biggest global climate change initiative. If that isn't powerful, I don't know what is. I strongly urge all of you to take up the challenge. How has these kind of issues, especially Earth Hour in Malaysia, grown over the past few years? Have we seen a big change?
We have. In fact, when we started the Earth Hour in Malaysia, it was small, but last year we decided to make it more open source, and this year we decided to put ourselves back on the map with regard to Earth Hour because it was so strong public demand. Hey, come on, WWF. Show us the way, kind of lead the way, you know. And
what better than Malaysia, who's so rich with, you know, not just wildlife, but we've got great natural rainforests. We've got all of these great assets.
Very dramatic. So this year, it's going to be at the Sunway Pyramid.
Okay, Sunway Pyramid, 26th March, 8:30 p.m.
8:30 p.m. There will be a whole range of events. We're going to have a dance in the dark.
A dance in the dark, with candles and all that.
Yes, we've got staff that have choreographed this very nice dance.
Are you going to be part of that?
I'll try. I need to practice, but you can log on to Facebook and you can see the dance steps.
Okay.
You can practice, and you can actually come for the event and take part in this dance in the dark, which is going to symbolize unity, and in all of us putting together an act, but trying to transmit that message that here in Malaysia we're very serious about what climate change is all about, and we want to ensure that the event and the activities start to send a strong signal to our government to say, you know, we're aware of climate change and we're aware that we need to take actions.
And we are part of it.
Please take actions.
Yeah.
Very importantly.
So where can our audience find you? You have a great website?
Yes, it's quite simple. Just go on to wwf.org.my and look out for the Live Green Pledge and come on board and make that pledge, like I said, to yourself and to all of us here in Malaysia.
Is it a pledge you have to sign on or like log in into?
Yes, you can log into it and you can start to put some stuff down. And it, just like New Year resolutions, they can last for a few days. But let's ensure that Live Green Pledge is about living that pledge and not just letting it die after a few days or a few hours.
Absolutely. Live right, live bright, live green. On that note, I'd like to thank you very much, Dato, for being with us. It's been an absolute pleasure. And we'll see you tomorrow back here right on the Breakfast Club. See you. Have a nice day.